This is the favorite stamp of one of my viewers, Smokey Tennyson. Issued by Austria in 1997, it depicts a painting by Helmut Schickhofer called House in Wind. Smokey likes it because that's the way the inside of his mind looks sometimes. In fact, he likes it so much that he buys every copy that he comes across. Stick around as we look at more favorites from other viewers, and I'll give you my own top 10 list of United States stamps of the 21st century. I want to thank the sponsor of this video, the Internet Philatelic Dealers Association. The IPDA is a coalition of stamp dealers who are committed to making the Internet a safe and secure space for stamp collectors to buy in. All IPDA dealers are committed to upholding a code of ethics and in maintaining the highest standards of quality and customer service in their dealings with collectors. When you see this logo on a stamp dealer site, you can be sure that you will find full, honest descriptions of the stamps. And in the event that there was a mistake made, you will be treated with the highest respect and professionalism in resolving your problems. We want IPDA dealers to be the dealers of choice for stamp collectors to buy from. And if you're a stamp dealer or thinking about becoming a stamp dealer and you want to join the organization, well, just click on the link below and go to ipdastamps.com and download and fill out an application. We'd love to have you. Now this episode is the first in a series I'm going to do on top 10 sort of favorite stamps. And since it's impossible to just pick out 10 favorite stamps, I'm breaking it up into categories and eras and areas. For instance, I'm going to have lists for the United States stamps and lists for worldwide. And then I'll further break those down into today's episode of 21st century stamps. And then I'll have a list for late 20th century, early 20th century, and 19th century stamps. And I'd also like to see your favorite stamps. So I invite you to contact me either through my email listed below, tedtalkstamps@gmail.com, or you can direct message me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at @TAT_stamps. And if you go to my channel homepage and click on the community tab, you'll see several posts where I've just laid out what I'd like to see from you. There's no hard and fast, strict rules. It can be a top 10 list. It can be a top 1 list like Smokey's. So let's get on with it. First list I'm going to show you is Kyle's top 10. Kyle is a new YouTube stamp vlogger, and you can find his channel, Kyle's Stamps. Check it out. The first set is this one from Persia from 1909. And it's a rather striking set with the highest values having that sparkling gold border and the lower values just below that, the silver borders. Next is this sheet from Madagascar. It was issued in 1999 for the Year of the Ocean, and it depicts the Little Mermaid, or as they say in French, La Petite Sirène. In 2007, Portugal issued this stamp made out of cork to publicize their cork industry, which is the largest in the world. Now, this postcard features a 1-cent Washington stamp from the presidential series of 1938, but it's not so much the stamp that makes this postcard his favorite, but the front side showing this picture of a Pima Indian. And the card is dated from 1945. This U.S. Express Mail stamp was issued in 2020, and it has a humongous face value of $26.95. It shows the Grand Island ice caves in Michigan in the Upper Peninsula. Next one on Kyle's list is this pane from 2003 showing cloudscapes. And it shows various types of clouds and cloud formations, and it's a really nice sheet also. Number 7 on his list, from 1932 to 1937, China issued this airmail set showing a Junkers F-13 flying over the Great Wall of China. And number 8, another U.S. issue, special delivery stamp, Scott Catalog E3, issued in 1893. And oddly enough, although this stamp was not issued for the Columbian Exposition of 1893, this stamp is considered part of the Columbus issue. I don't know by whom, but that's what it says in the catalog. Now, number 9 is this pane issued by the U.S. in 2018, featuring bioluminescent life. And it's got 10 different stamps, 10 different creatures who all emit their own light. And I got a feeling we're going to see this pane a little bit later in the program. And tops on Kyle's list is the U.S. 1930 set of Zeppelins, which I think is included on many U.S. collectors' favorites list. All right, Kyle, that was a great list with some really nice looking stamps on it. I'm glad you shared those with us. And next up is a short list of stamps from Raymond Miskevitz, starting off with this one from Bavaria. This is a nice looking stamp from Bavaria, issued in 1874, with the coat of arms embossed in the center. Second on Raymond's list is this 1989 issue from Monaco, and it's commemorating the 350th anniversary of the Society of Our Lady of Mercy. Raymond's third set is this semi-postal set, again from Monaco, issued in 1944, honoring Saint Devota, the patron saint of Monaco. And fourth on his list is this 1949 stamp from British Guiana. It shows a native Indian shooting fish with a bow and arrow. Now this is a King George VI issue, as you can see by the royal vignette. And this design was also used in almost actually identical form, except for showing King George V, and then later again showing Queen Elizabeth II. And then this fifth set is a bunch of stamps from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Austro-Hungarian Empire military stamps, issued around 1917. Again, some really nice stamps in that list. So now we come to my list. These are my top 10, sort of 21st century stamps from the U.S. In 2019, the U.S. issued this one commemorating the poet Walt Whitman. And to me, this is just a gorgeous stamp. The composition and the color, it just gives such a soothing feeling. Next up on my list is this series of stamps issued from, this first one was 2005 and this one was 2011. These were American scientists. And on the back of each stamp, you'll find some biographical text for each of them. For instance, this one for Richard Feynman. Richard Feynman developed a new formulation of quantum theory based in part on diagrams he invented to help him visualize the dynamics of atomic particles. And it goes on a little bit more. Okay, so next up then. In 2001, the U.S. Postal Service honored conductor Leonard Bernstein on the occasion of his 100th birthday. Not only was he the longtime conductor of the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, but he was also a composer and just a great music educator. And just being a classical music lover myself, this is just a great stamp for me. Then in 2009, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the U.S., was commemorated for his 200th birthday. And this is a set of 4 stamps that are beautifully rendered in lithography, but it has a definite engraving vibe to it. And I think those are just really cool images. In 2017, this sheet was issued featuring various sharks. Now, while I do like that shark stamp sheet, it's not the shark stamps per se that puts it on my favorites list, but rather this first day cover. This first day cover was designed by Dave Bennett, who makes a habit of making these beautiful, cool-looking cachets under his imprint, Bennett Tunes Cachets. And this is an Irish shark. His name is Finn. At number 6 on my list is this 2018 issue for Bioluminescent Life. Now, with the subject of bioluminescent life, one might have expected, and rightfully so, that the stamps would be maybe glow in the dark, or they would phosphoresce under ultraviolet light. But no. Instead, they were produced with a kind of a foil layer, which gives an iridescence which is not all that noticeable. You'll see it mostly in this large jellyfish in the header. You can see it it's kind of iridescent. You get a little rainbow effect type of reflections. So kind of disappointing in the no glow effect, but still a very, very nice issue. Although one other minor complaint I have is that none of these creatures, and there's what, 10 of them? No, 8 of them. No, there's 10 of them. Usually, well, there's a couple more quibbles, let's put it that way then. There's 10 creatures shown. None of them are identified. There's not even any explanatory text on the back of the pane. Another thing is that they formatted the sheet with the 10 different stamps in 2 vertical columns, whereas you might have expected 2 horizontal rows, which I would have preferred because I'd rather not have to collect the whole sheet to get the 10 stamps and the header. If it's horizontal, then I can just separate the pane after the second row and just have a nice block of 10 with the header. What can you do? Okay, moving along. In 2016, this sheet was issued featuring the planets. And with the expulsion of Pluto from the planetary family, we're left with 8 planets to fit nicely across 2 rows on this sheet. And while there's nothing really spectacular about the design, those are just great pictures of the planets, and I really dig them. Then, sticking to the subject of space, my next issue is this one that was just issued a few weeks ago, called Sun Science. Now, looking at them, you might think that these were photographs taken through various filters, but actually they were black and white photographs that have been colorized. And on to the next issue. And guess what? We're staying in space. This one was from 2017, and it was in honor of the total eclipse of the sun. These stamps were printed with a special thermographic ink that changed colors with heat changes. So at normal room temperature, the moon is completely black, and as it warms up, the black fades away and the moon becomes visible. As you'll see when I place this in my hand and my body heat warms up the stamps, the moon moves out of the shadow and becomes visible. Which now brings me to my number 1 stamp. Now, while the other stamps that I showed you, they could really be placed in any order. This one, however, is my number 1 favorite U.S. stamp of this century. Although it's not for the single stamp itself, but for the complete pane. And it's this one, the joint issue with France, honoring Miles Davis and Edith Piaf. The design of this sheet is just outstanding, I think. You see that iconic pose of Miles Davis as well as Edith Piaf, and they're almost identical poses, the S curve of their body. And then you look at the 4 rows of stamps and the staggered stair-step design of the rows that mimics the S curve of the bodies. And then you have Miles Davis on the left just balancing on the edge of one step, the edge of one stamp there. And just the whole effect is just outstanding. And being a lover of jazz, especially Miles Davis, this issue just presses all the buttons for me. So there you have it, my list of favorite 21st century U.S. stamps. Let me know what yours are. In fact, if you'd like to see your list of stamps featured in a future video, go to my channel's homepage to the Community tab. Look at the posts where I explain the concept, and then send me your list. Send me your images, and I'd love to put them in a future episode. And if you don't want to go that route, just go ahead and tell us what your favorites are in the comments below. So that wraps up another episode of TED Talk Stamps. I want to thank you for joining me, and I want to thank my sponsor once again, the Internet Philatelic Dealers Association, or IPDA, making the internet safe and secure for collectors since 1888, I think it is. Not really. But anyways, like I said, any dealers or potential dealers, go ahead, click on the link below and download an application and send it in. So until next time, this is Ted the Talking Stamp Collector, wishing you once again happy stamping.